In the same way you have the hawa. And you find that hawa is different between man and woman. In men it's active. For example, you find that men will eat continuously, you know. Women won't do this, they'll have a little bit, but men can go on and then afterwards they're like, you know, full on stuff. You very rarely find women who turn around and say that. In the same way when it comes to other abuses, or maybe you do nowadays. So anything which is active like that, generally, and obviously there's exceptions as well, like the sisters are laughing at the exception. They used to, we put on the weight, they don't though. It's the other problem. Active. Something which is found within you. Fornication, adultery, all of these things are more rampant within men than within women. But in the same way, when we look at Islamic psychology, it says that there are certain things found in women which are not found in men. You give man a pleasure, he'll go for it. But when it comes to gossiping and those kind of sins which are to do with the wahmiyah, you find that women are possessed more of it. This is why even within the English language there's a term, granny's meeting, and all of these kind of things. Why? More towards, leaning towards women. So there's a deficiency of both. Men have a deficiency or excess of gluttony and the active hawa side, and women have the passive. And this goes all the way back to the Creator, because the Creator said that, look, Jalal, which is his active names, are found within men, and the Jamal names are found within women. So here sometimes you have this issue and you have these problems, and then we need to focus upon that which are our problems to be able to balance them. So now, temptation for each one of us is different. You find a common denominator that certain people have a certain tendency and certain people have another type of tendency. With that, the atmosphere that we live in, the society that we live in. Sometimes you find that if you're living in an Islamic country, and if it's a kind of a strict Islamic country, many of those problems that we have don't transpire, they don't come out. But that doesn't mean we don't have them, because sometimes it's dormant within us. And when you go to the West, or a place where certain sins are open, these dormant things come out. And sometimes we find that those people who are living in this country are actually better off than people who are living there. Why? Because they're doing jihad every single day. And in fact, they've battled themselves to such an extent that sometimes they don't even think about these things. So they've developed themselves, self-development. And this is what's also very important. But now coming back, why does a person commit sin? Honestly. Because we see an immediate benefit in it. That's why we commit it. All of us know, through our fitrah, that there is good and there is bad. Even a child. At the age of 2.5, you say to a child, look, lie. The child's not going to lie. And the other day there was a little case that happened. This guy crashed his car. They had a bit of an argument. He said, look, you crashed it. He said, you crashed it. So the police officer came over. He said, son, can you come? He was 3 years old. He says, what's the story? The child said, well, my dad crashed the car. Children, they don't lie. But it's the way that you develop them within their fitrah. Fitrah is the fitrah of Allah. Those attributes of God, godliness, going back to the beginning of our speech, being good people, having raham, being kind to people, all of these attributes are found within us, and they are also found within the Creator. Obviously to us is this extent, and God is infinite. We have these within us though, and the struggle is there, it's continuing. We do sin only and only because we see an immediate pleasure within it, until you get to the stage of no return, until it becomes pleasurable then to actually do that sin, and sometimes then you do it for the sake of just doing it. This is why they say it's very easy to build a habit, but it's very difficult to destroy it. A person who lies for the first time is bad for them, second time, third time, but when it goes 1 year to 2 years to 3 years and he's continuously lying, then you find that it becomes habit. It's so difficult then to break. This is why we have a narration that says that our followers are the ones who, when they commit a sin, they repent. So the Prophet of God isn't saying that you're not going to commit a sin. You probably will commit a sin, but what do? You repent straight away. Why? You go back again to the Creator. This is why within akhlaq you find that there are two concepts. You have tawbah, which goes back, and then you have inaba, which again is a return back to the Creator. So there are two stages, vital stages, which are found. Hence, when it comes to temptation and sin, we need to balance ourselves, to take it back to the source. What is the source? The source are the teachings that Islam has given. And we say that we're part of the best religion in the world. Why? Because it deals with everything. 23 years of the Prophet's life, he's able to then, within that period of time, give all of the messages until the Day of Judgment. We don't need another Prophet. Why? Because everything, all of the problems that we're going to have, the answer and the solution has been given. Let me give an example. In the 20th century, so much has developed. Sometimes when I read philosophical papers, I come to realize that if, for example, Karl Popper was to come back again, died in 93, before MSN and all of these kind of things took off, internet. If he was to come back today, maybe a lot of his theories would have changed. But the way that Allah's designed his theory is that everything then goes back to the fitrah. Most of our problems and our solutions lie within us. So the Quran and Ahlul Bayt are two entities as such, or the Sunnah of the Prophet are such entities that they all go back to these two things. All of our solutions therefore are found there. Our job is then to go back and harness this, access this. Our duty is to be good to ourselves really. To move away and to analyze ourselves, at least on a daily basis. Think about it. We go home. Within Islam it's been recommended that you sit down at least for 5 minutes. Contemplate. Think about your actions. Think about what you're doing. If we're meant to have the maqam wal akhlaq, and this is why the Prophet came down to perfect our akhlaq, why is it today then that Muslims are the worst akhlaq? When someone's talking, they talk. I'm not pointing or looking at anyone there. These are deficiencies within us. We're representing the Prophet. What does that mean? That means we need to stand up to it. Tomorrow when you go outside, no one's going to ask you how much you know about Islam. They're going to look at you and they're going to say you're a Muslim. Already today, to date, people look at us negatively. There's any problem in the world, the blame goes to us. And last night I got 3 different articles talking about the fact that Muslim youth now are so degenerated, demoralized, that they feel at the age of 15 and 16 the government is out to get them. And honestly, this is a problem. Why? Because this has been something which has been battered within our psyche. So people already see us as negative. So what's our responsibility? We need to change their minds. How do we change their minds? The only way we can change them is by producing ourselves to such a level, and this consists of work. It takes hard work to develop yourselves. It's not something that's going to come overnight. You want to improve your character and you want to make the face of Islam look good, you need to work hard at it. And this means that we then start off within ourselves and change ourselves. That's where the importance comes into it. Ethical boundaries have to be applied now to look at ourselves. Everything goes back. You want to create a revolution. We talk about the fact that Imam Mahdi, Ayatollah Ta'ala Sharif, is going to come, fool the world with truth and justice. Who's he coming for? He's coming for truth and justice. He's coming for us. It's the same old example that a thief steals something and then he stands there and says, look, police, come and take me. Be an idiot then, he wouldn't have stolen in the first place. In the same way we're standing here saying, Imam Mahdi, please come, and we haven't reformed ourselves. What's his aim? Justice. So what's he going to do? He's going to take us first. We're the ones who are following him. Ultimately then, for anything, it starts off with ourselves. Revolution of the heart. Talk about a revolution. Let's look at ourselves. One man can make a difference, believe me. One man in the past have made differences. Why? Because they were mukhlis. No, mukhlas. 2 concepts here. There's the level of a person who's mukhlis. So this means that whatever he does or she does, they do it for the sake of the Creator. A point comes in our lives then, when we're doing something for the Creator, negativity sometimes goes in our mind and then we say astaghfirullah and we put it out of our minds.